and Company and Kiki Cord yet, but we will get to those. And Tron. I do want to see what it actually looks like. I'm sure it looks horrible for us. Basically against against taxes, you basically take out most of the blue and the brain package, and you rock like this, I would imagine. Something like this is probably what you do. Sky Shroud. What do you guys think of this? Mods, what is something... So I do need to eat food. I'm starting to get lightheaded again. So, yeah, 10-hour stream. So, what is something... Can you guys suggest something that I could put on the screen? Have we done Jund yet? No, we haven't done Jund yet. Have we done the Cyber Plant for Blue Red Storm yet? No, we haven't, Sharkbait. We'll do that next. So this would be against... This was against Eldrazi taxes. And it's good that we're not on the Ancestral plan, because Eldrazi taxes is actually naturally good against that card. We could just do trivia, says Paul. That's a good idea. Brew, could you just put up an old YouTube of yourself playing Magic? 10 hours was half an hour ago, says For No Reason. Andy, I know you're worried about me. I appreciate you. It's actually going to curve here on the curvature. Andy, you know I appreciate you. And Andy's worried about me. He's worried that I'm not eating dinner, so... You're right, I need to actually make, like, actual food. I was going to, like, grab a snack, but I should make actual food. I should make real food, so... yeah. And get, like, something to actually... drink. Wapolis is hardest working streamer in Magic. Huh. Twitch doesn't think so, but maybe someday. I appreciate that. Alright, let's do one more sideboard plan for what was the last one on the list, and then I can come back and add some more. So somebody said I need to do a Blue-Red Storm sideboard plan. I need to do a... I know I need to do Abzan Company. I need to do a sideboard plan for Jund. I need to do a sideboard plan for Grixis, or like, as I like to call it, Blue Jund. Did we do Escape Shift sideboard plan yet? We'll do Green Red Tron. It'll suck, but we'll still make a sideboard plan for it. That we won't win, at least on the Magic Online version, doesn't have the the cheaty boom bust. I'm sure once I start doing these sideboard plans, I'm gonna want the boom bust back. I'm pretty sure. Which is funny, like with the affinity, like once we did the infect, what's awesome about this process, and it's really good that we're doing this before the oh, Black Green X, I'm assuming is also for Jund, is it not? So. Okay, so basically I'm going to take that one off because we're getting to that with Jund. Just going to delete these ones. Okay, so we should also do... we'll jump ahead and do a Jund sideboard plan because somebody requested that. Let's open a new copy. I'm pretty sure the Boom Bust is going to come back because it's decent against Jund as well. Like, get in once we've kind of established like a Snapcaster on the table or some birds. Well, no, we take that out against Jund. But let's go ahead and, like I said, the GP we'll be doing, bring everything in. So against Jund, what do? Well, we got to take out the bird package. I have to take out the bird package. So it's a little rough. I don't really like timely reinforcements against Jund. You technically could have that in. Counterflux, I'm not that interested in. Angers are pretty hit or miss against Jund, so that's worrisome because that's a big chunk of our deck. So already things are looking rough because there's a lot of things I'm trying to take out that I just won't be able to take out against Jund, but we'll keep going. The tutors seem awful against Jund because, and Bird Brain seems awful against Jund because. So there you have it. Already there are things that need to come back in. So what comes back in against Jund, guys? I mean, Raman's not wonderful, by the way. We can keep in all the burns, fine. You gotta kill Dark Confidant. So what comes back in? And Tech Edge is better than Ghost Quarter in this matchup, but that's okay. We can still spend those on Manlands, so that's fine. We went with Ghost Quarters when we were making sideboard plans for Infect. That's what happened. They came back, or the Tech Edges became. So odds and ends is interesting. Odds and ends against Jund can be cast here or can be cast here. If they have the Thrun sideboard plan, I'm very happy to have these. And then for that reason, if they are on the Thrun sideboard plan, I would want a Muddle to fill the last spot so I can find these more easily. Because that would really suck to lose to Jund because they have the sideboard Thrun. So I would maybe run a Muddle. I would only run one because it is bad against... It also gives me a tutorable Celestial Purge if I run some number of Muddles. I would do something like that. I have a bow tie on right now. Ghost Quarter is better versus Tron than Tech Edges too, says Tweed. That's true. Just wing it. Overmaster says you need to apply. To what? Oh, to Twitch? I still feel like I'm not going to get there. Timely to gain life and try to get rid of a pulse, says Sharkbait. Okay, so you like Timely over the Muddle? I mean, Timely Reinforcements is not... Like, odds are against Jund, they're the one that's first to deploy. They're the one they're going to do first blood against us. Like, we're blue at red control. They're going to play the first creature. They're going to draw first blood on our life total. So, yeah, I mean, the Timely could still chill in the Jund matchup. And it's nice to just have more, like, meat. Technically, Timely, although I wouldn't call it the meatiest of win conditions, tokens line up really well against Kalatas. Kalatas' ability says non-tokens, so Purge is nice here. Really nice that we can bring that in against Jund. I like it. Even though I'm not running the tutoring cards for it. I agree. I think Muddle's really, really awkward against Jund. And I think this will be a hard matchup for us because some of my best engines, Jund is going to be good against. These and these. Yep. Jund is naturally good against all 8 of these cards. Why? Because transmuting is really bad against hand hate unless you're immediately spending the card you transmute for. So, yeah, it's going to be a hard matchup, but I'm playing the deck knowing that. So, I am fully aware that it's hard. I am fully aware. Odds actually lines up really well against hand hate, though, because you're either countering the Thoughtseize or you get to Thoughtseize them. So, actually, I like this card in the Jund matchup more and more that I think about it, because it's a good way to answer a Thrun. It is. It can answer a Thrun. You can also just odds end an Inquisition. You can odds end a... actually, Remand is pretty garbo against Jund, unless they're on the Taziger Gurmag version. Maybe in the late game, I just want to be able to tutor some of these things that are decent, like Purge. I don't really like Remand against Jund. I don't really like Remand against Jund. Is there something else I can run? Can we run the Flux and the 2 Muddles? I know they're awkward, but remanding a Thoughtseize just to get Thoughtseized again is awful. At least Muddle trades with Thoughtseizes and Inquisitions. I really don't like Remand that much unless we know they're on the Taziger build. And Counterflux isn't unplayable against Jund. It's maybe more playable than Remands. That's a really interesting difference between Jeskai and Esper Drains. Dridgel says, I've got a good matchup against Jund from what I've seen. I believe you. Yeah, Redirect is hilariously good versus Jund, yeah. The only redirect effect I think I'm going to run is the odds and ends, though. Just run these? Okay. I mean, trading with a Thoughtseize is fine. It actually brings the curvature down. I don't think Flux is, like, entirely unplayable in that matchup, but it's rough. It's rough. I'm not that excited by Remand in the Jund match. I'm not that excited. How much Jund have you played against, Dridgeable? I believe you when you say that. That's not me saying, I don't believe you. No, that's me saying, I believe you. But how much Jund have you played against? On average, because it's honestly, there's not as much of it on Magic Online as there should be. It's a little bit underrepresented because of the expense of the deck. There's something weird, like Magic Online, you'll have some people that buy into very expensive decks. There's a whole slew of people that just don't want to do that, and I don't blame them. I still like one Muddle, maybe keep one Brain as a Miser. No, there's really no point. If they saw this game one, they're leaving in both the Kolaghan's Commands and the Abrupt Decays. And also, unless I'm going to run Leyline in the sideboard, this is just naturally hated out a little bit by hand hate just because it's hard to assemble all the pieces. Because you have to get the Brain to multiple charge counters before you can Brain Beck, before you can Bird Cestral. Sharkbait, you do have to get the Brain to 2 charge counters. It's really hard to get it to 2 charge counters. Now here's something interesting. I remember playing the Ancestral version where we had Brain as well against Jund, and I had a couple times where a Jund player went to Abrupt Decay or Kolaghan's Command the Jar at the wrong time. I remember this. I'll never forget this. I went to charge my brain, and he abrupt decayed my brain, and I said, okay. And then I got to Ancestral because of the way that's worded, because of, let's see, ask a judge. Although this article, hang on a second. Did that not go through? I thought we asked that command. Did that command not go through? Because I made a command for the ask a judge. Okay, so ask a judge. So this article unfortunately doesn't talk about Ancestral with Brain. In fact, it made me wonder, because when we discovered it, it made me wonder. I don't know if we're the first to discover it, but to discover how Ancestral could work with Brain. The problem is these are 2-card combos, right? It's just Brain plus a split card, Brain plus a split fuse card. The problem with Brain Ancestral is you need to incorporate a third piece. You have to also incorporate, you can't just have the Ancestral in your hand, and you can't just have the Brain. You also had to incorporate another piece, and that's what made it clunky. You also needed either a way to bounce Brain. You can do that with Cryptic Command, but that's so much mana. You could do it with like a Repeal, I guess, or like a Hercules Recall, or you could be running Thopter Foundry, Thopter Sword, and you tap the Brain, you put a sacrifice of the Brain trigger on the stack, Brain gets sacrificed, but then when you may cast a spell from your hand if it has the same number. What is it? The way it's worded precisely, it says, then you may cast an instant or sorcery card with the CMC equal to the number of charge counters on Brain Jar from your hand without paying its mana cost. I know it's a mouthful, but basically it'll cast the Ancestral. And the same thing has happened against Jund players when I was playing that version. They would go to Abrupt Decay or Kolaghan's Command the Brain at the wrong time, and I would get to cast the Ancestral, not because of anything I did, but because of what they did. So it was a bit of a next level that I didn't intend for the deck to have against decks like Jund that have Abrupt Decay or Kolaghan's Command. It doesn't happen often, though. And the first time they make that mistake, they will never make that mistake again. But that it has happened twice. I've had 2 Jund players so far in Magic Online when we were running the Ancestral. We ran it for about a week. And twice when we ran into Jund, they Abrupt Decayed and or Kolaghan's Command the Brain at the wrong time. And I happened to have an Ancestral in hand. I did get to cast the Ancestral because the Brain was destroyed with the trigger for 0 on the stack. But anyway. Exactly. The card is gone and has no counters on it. Precisely, Sharkbait. The Brain left the battlefield with 0 counters on it. So you could also, in theory, do that for Restore Balance. You could also, in theory, do that for Living End. It works with Wheel of Fate. All of the 0 mana cards Brain can do. That's why I'm really trying to push... Not push, Jesus. That's not the word I'm looking for. I'm recommending that you grab these cards because not only does it bust fusion cards, it busts Boom Bust. It busts things like Odds Ends that is normally not playable, but all of a sudden, because you can cast the sides of the cards cheaper, I'm trying to let you guys know this card is super sweet. And you know what? If it ends up just like, let's fast forward a few months or weeks, if it just ends up being like an EDH staple, you still made your money. You still made your investment. You're not losing anything. The last time I checked on Card Hoarder, the card was super cheap. These are cheap too, thankfully. Actually, this card is more expensive than Brain. The last time we checked Brain, it was 0.25 tickets, 0.24 tickets. Super cheap. You can get a playset of this card for less than a ticket. And I think that it would be absurd for... Like, the thing is, even if it doesn't see continued play in Modern, it's going to see play in formats like EDH. Because it's just an interesting and fun card. People are going to be continuing to mess around with this card. There are people who are playing this card in Standard. There's a Standard Brain deck. Standard Blue Brains by, what was it? Budget Magic. This was 9 tickets at the time when he wrote this article. This was our friend Saffron Olive. If you guys don't know Saffron Olive, he is indeed a prolific writer. He also does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he is also part of Team Card Hoarder. But if you want to read more about Mono Blue Brains, here's the list. Basically, it's a really hilarious deck, actually. It wins by bouncing all of their dudes several times. What is it? It is Mono Blue for a reason, though. It's not Mono Blue to be budget. It is legitimately Mono Blue because of Engulf the Shore. Instant 3 blue. Return return to their owner's hands all creatures with toughness less than or equal to the number of islands you control.